Have you ever sat in the front of a blank screen and just thought, I'm meant to be creating content today, but I just feel completely empty and stuck? Well, I want to help you break through that paralysis so it happens less. Now, there's a couple of things we need to be upfront about right from the beginning. Some days creating content is like pushing shit up a hill. It is just not the most pleasant thing in the world to be doing. And sometimes you're not feeling it. It's okay to have an off day. That's why we plan ahead. That's why we have contact banks. That's why sometimes we don't do the stuff. But if it's happening over and over again, we have a problem. So I'm not talking about that one-off occasional content paralysis day where you're just like, I just want to do anything else. I may even, do the thing you most hate doing. For me, that would definitely be washing. And if that's the sign that you need to not do content, then that is okay. Maybe you just need to go and have some time in the sun. I definitely had a content paralysis last year around this podcast, Confident Content. I have, and I don't know if I should tell you this, I've actually planned out about 20 episodes for this podcast. And I'm super excited. I haven't been excited like this for a podcast in such a long time. And it's because I decided and realized that this time for my paralysis, it was because of a couple of things. One, we were going through massive changes. We had relocated. We had massive changes around our offer and what we were doing. I wasn't sure where I was sitting with this. I didn't have great structure and processes, so that had to be resolved. And I had higher priorities than my podcast. And then I didn't, because I realized that one, I love my podcast. I love doing it. Two, my podcast, even if it doesn't have many viewers one week or listeners one week, it does actually bring work into my business, even though that's not the only reason I do it. I do love it, but that does give like a motivational push. It's the same with our marketing, right? Our marketing, if it's working, it's bringing in the sales. And I have definitely been in places where I haven't wanted to create content, podcast or anything, because I'm like, I literally don't want any content. I don't want to have any more customers. I'm overwhelmed. I don't want to have it. And I think that can contribute. So I think one of the things with content paralysis is we do sometimes need to check, is it an issue around worrying about failure? Is it a problem about having too many ideas? Is it a problem of overthinking it and trying to think too smart? Like, I think sometimes we watch too many how-to stuff and we get too many hacks, and then we're like, oh my gosh, I've got to remember to do this thing and this thing. And I know I was getting like that on TikTok, and I started obsessing about every little bit that I was doing, and it stopped bringing the joy and the trial and the error and the experimenting and the creativity in, and it stopped me making progress. So sometimes it is that, but sometimes other big stuff is going on, and I want to just bring up that part first before we talk about these other things, because that does make it hard. But let's if that's not the thing that's going on, and you can only rest on that for a certain amount of time. We're not going to rest on that forever, guys. That's your excuse. There's a time frame. I'm back doing this podcast because, I'm over that stuff and I'm raring to go. You too can be like that with your content, but let's highlight the problems and see what's going. Let's just start with one thing. Sometimes done is better than perfect. And when you're feeling overwhelmed and you've got paralysis, sometimes just doing the bloody thing is the thing you need to get started. I often find that if I'm stuck somewhere, the best way to solve it is to just do a shitty job. Do a shitty, quick job, and then that one step of doing that job seems to open the floodgates, and suddenly everything else becomes easier and hopefully less shittier, because we don't want to have all that crappy stuff, right? So I want you to think a little bit about reframing this. You don't need to have everything perfect and the stars aligned to create perfect content. You just need to start. Your content quality and your content ability can evolve over time. Be kind to yourself, and let's just get it started. So here's a couple of things that I want to tell you that always help with me as well. One of the big things I do is I don't batch my content from woe to go. And what that means is I might spend a day. So I did this week, where I spent a day on Monday creating a whole lot of content ideas. And I've got ADHD. I like acting on things right away. I like to be able to just go, oh, let's just do this now. not wise, because what happens is as soon as you jump into the doing, it suddenly becomes really overwhelming because you're like, I can't get all this stuff done and I haven't really processed it. So I do my batching in stages. I will do a planning time, like an idea generation time. Then I'll do kind of a planning time after that. And then I'll do a content creation time, which I did today. I have got 40 videos in the bank, plus a couple of podcast episodes, because I'm a star today. That's how you feel when you're getting that stuff done. But none of it's edited. So none of my videos are edited, and that's a big job. And I will edit those in another batch. I won't do them today. I batch in stages because that makes me feel way less overwhelmed. Plus, when you're creating bunches of ideas and bunches of content and bunches of editing all at once, damn, you feel amazing. And we want to feel amazing as we're doing this. When we do it one by one and we painstakingly just do one bit of content at a time, what happens is we get very overwhelmed, it's tiring, and we go, that took a long time. Of course it does, because you're changing your skill set for every stage and batch, and your thinking process. It's exhausting, it takes longer, and it just robs your will to live. So we're not going to do that. So batch that. One of the best things to do is to start with just those ideas. So you might want to batch a bunch of content ideas. I have a content plan, so it makes it much easier. I have a psychographic profile. I have core ideas that I can work with that relate to psychology, mindset, activity and output, along with things like what stuff in my client work will respond to that. So I have a bunch of stuff that I've done this with, but I use ChatGPT a lot to bounce ideas off. I use my psychographic profile. I use marketing work I've done in the past. I do things that I want to do, and I do stuff that I'm reading. So I'm always listening and learning to stuff and thinking about stuff. So I might listen to a podcast about fear of failure. It won't even be about marketing, right? And I might go to ChatGPT. Here's my psychographic profile. Here's my content kind of plan. I like this idea about fear of failure. Could I swing this in here? How would it work? And what do you think we could do? And that might come up with some fresh ideas of content. So I do use ChatGPT as a sounding board quite often when I'm working this out, because it really helps. So I'll batch and create a bunch of content ideas, and that's what I've done basically. For you guys, I've got like a series. You read the first one last week around marketing psychology. That was me batching and double checking and doing a bunch of research around psychology and then creating a whole bunch of stuff at once. And for that, what I did is I had a whole lot of notes from my learnings. I had a framework that I wanted to do that would kind of be more interactive for you to be able to listen to. And then I asked ChatGPT to mix my framework with my information and then got them to do that. So I'm still doing the work, but ChatGPT is doing the painful organizational systemization stuff that my ADHD brain bloody hurts when I try to do. So we've got that. And then the other thing is, sometimes when you're really stuck, doing a big idea about ideas and content pillars is really complicated. So sometimes I just say start small. Just write a post about something that has happened to you this week.
Need a marketing strategy, but you're tight on time and budget? In just 2 days, I can help you create a marketing strategy and an action plan that has everything mapped out for you for the following year in every area of marketing. Plus, we'll have gone deep into who your target audience is, what your offer is, and all those other important things you need to know to get that marketing right. How are we going to do that? Well, you can come along and be part of the Map It Marketing Intensive. It's with a small group of like-minded business owners. We're running them across New Zealand in different areas, and I'd love you to be part of it. Plus, this is an approved program through the Regional Business Fund, so funding may be available to help you attend. Bonus, if you want a plan, if you want to have something that's highly practical, I'd love you to join me, Rachel Klaver, on the Map It Marketing Intensive. See you there.
And one of the things I think we get stuck on as business owners is an excellent writer, and I say excellent and put myself in there because, but with my clients that have also become excellent writers, they learn about the ability to bridge your everyday life or your everyday experiences with your business and do it in a beautiful, seamless way. And that's really powerful. But when you're starting out, that's hard. So sometimes it might just be telling a story about something that happened to you, a personal story, and not worrying about whether it's got a business application. Let's just get the content out there. Let's get that paralysis going. Let's just remove it away by taking action and creating a post of something. But here's some ideas. Like for service providers, you could do something like you might have a question that a client has asked. You might have a comment that someone has made on your post. I did a content the other week because I'm running an ad and someone said, oh, for God's sake, do something about your hair. And I talked a little bit about how I'm so tired about how women, we can't just show up and do our work. We have to have our appearance criticized and critiqued all the time. That was a great content for me to do. Happened in real life. I'm just using everyday experiences, doing a wee mini rant, not thinking about it too much, just actually doing it. This is the do. We're not overthinking it. We're just doing the do. But you might go something else and go, oh my gosh, I've just organized my inbox, or like I've been setting up my podcast folders and things like that. So I could do, here's how I set up my podcast folders. I was doing some stuff in Metrical the other day and did a quick video on how do I do my Metrical. People love that stuff. Just think about what you're doing every day, that goat in the tree stuff that I talked about before on other podcasts and in my book, around things that make you stand out by being very ordinary, because your ordinary is different to other people's ordinary, and just talking about it is good. So let's just start with something you know. If you're a product business, you might want to talk a little bit about your product in daily life in a different way. So say you sell, I don't know, like a coffee cup. You might want to talk a little bit about how you've managed to work out a little hack for it, like maybe like where you've managed to fit it somewhere that you weren't expecting it, or that you've been using it for while you're listening to something in the morning and realizing you don't get distracted, or whatever your thing is that you want to do, or that you've used it to make 2-minute noodles in a coffee cup. I don't know if it's possible, but it could be. So thinking about things that you could just do, they're just kind of like little things, just something little just to get yourself doing. Basically what I'm saying to you is action makes the paralysis go away. And the action might be crap, but we're just going to do the action, okay? So we're going to make sure we do that. So another thing that you can do, which I find is really helpful, is I work a lot with neurodiverse people. Sorry, I'm trying not to make sounds with my stuff. I work a lot with neurodiverse people. And it's interesting because I'm a writer, but I find now that because there's so much content we're absorbing all the time, my ability to slow my brain down to write has become very dysfunctional. It's rough. I'm trying to write books and trying to write long form content, and it's tricky for me to do it now. And so the tool that I've got that I'd also recommend to you is to use voice. One of the things that I love teaching people to do is just grab ChatGPT on your phone, and instead of typing out, use a little voice recorder on your phone. You know, when you're doing the transcripts, just press that and just talk to ChatGPT. So say, hey, I'm really stuck. I'm really struggling to write content, but I had this little idea. I was thinking about my dog walks in the morning, and I was thinking about how my dog always tries to get my attention when I'm distracted about other things, and how so often it's easy for us to miss those connection points of the day. And I can't work out how to put those two ideas together. But I was wondering if maybe you could help me by putting those two ideas together, and then I might talk back to you in my own words what you've said, and then you can turn that into a post. Would that be okay, ChatGPT? And you can say that to ChatGPT. And one of the things that I find is really useful is I don't use ChatGPT to write my content, but what I might do is get ChatGPT to write my outline. And then from doing that, what I ask it to do is then I might talk through that outline on a video or an audio, which I feel very comfortable about, and then get ChatGPT to transcribe that and then use my own words. It's a sneaky, sneaky way to make the most of ChatGPT, but also make the most of your own words. And that again can help that analysis paralysis, because it's helping that structure. I've also done other things like give ChatGPT my caption writing format, which most of you, if you listen to previous podcasts, you can listen to how to write a great caption, and it's got like a structure there, but with the hooks, I've given ChatGPT my hooks. So often I'll write a post and say, can you find the hook for me? Because that can cause me to go into paralysis. Or can you help me find a great call to action out of my list? And I have ones there for them. I don't use the ChatGPT ones because they're terrible at writing hooks. blocks, but I do use my own ones and ask it to find it. These are all ways that we can untap and unblock our paralysis. So you can do that. Another thing you could do is just go look at your old content and see if you can just quickly repurpose something. There have been times where I've been massively blocked, and the best way to do it is just to go back to content 5, 6, even longer if you've been saving it, content, and just turn it into something else, repurpose it. It's the action of actually getting it out there and doing it that is key to stop that paralysis and just go, whew, I'm over the hump. That is the key thing to do. So I've got a little project for you. I want you to see if you can write yourself a post if you are paralyzed with content in the moment and you're struggling with that analysis paralysis, content paralysis issue. Let's see. Is there a question that your audience or your clients or someone in your team has asked you recently that you'd like to answer, or even a child? Answer it in 2 to 3 sentences. Add a question to invite engagement, like who else has had this problem, or anyone else resonate with this, or anyone agree with me. And if you want, you can ask ChatGPT to add a hook. Otherwise, just pop it up there. Maybe put a selfie picture of you as well and see what happens. Even if it's not perfect, let's just see what happens and see if it can just break that problem of content paralysis and over analysis of what's going on. Look, content paralysis is a normal part of the process. Like, everyone has had a block at some point. But when we start with small actionable steps, it can make all the difference. So if you've ever felt stuck creating content, try the practice activity, try some of the ideas in here, and I would love to see your post if you do try it at me so I can have a look at it. And if you are really stuck with content, you're like, I need a strategy and a plan, I'd love to have you come along to the Content Marketing Accelerator. It is a 2-day workshop. Our first one is at the end of this month in February, but we're running them through the year. You can get funding through the regional business partners if you meet the criteria. So drop me a line at rachel@identifymarketing.co.nz and we'll see if they're a good fit for you. I won't push it if it's not a right fit. I won't let you come if it's not a right fit, to be honest. But it might be the right thing for you. It might be just the thing to help you get it sorted. I've just written the book today and I'm super excited because it's got a whole lot of marketing strategy and psychology and brand new stuff that no one has seen yet, not even my coaching clients. So it's super amazing. They may have seen it by the time this podcast is out, but it's super exciting. And otherwise, I would love you to come and follow Confident Content. We're really focusing this year on practical applications that you can take from these podcasts. I'm going to try and make sure there's a practice activity unless we're talking to an expert, which of course we'll have as well. But I would love you just to see if you can take action on the stuff we're doing and become a more confident content marketer for your business. Catch you next week.